You're listening to the RM Podcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson. Like a mic issue.
Yeah, I don't quite
know.
hear you.
Everybody else is good.
Yeah?
But I'm not.
I don't hear I hear Sean.
Well, there's Brandon Davidson over there.
We have
I'm over
Brandon.
here. I'm yelling into a broken mic.
I don't hear myself either. The only person I hear is Sean.
Oh, I can hear you.
Yeah, I hear
Okay,
you just
okay.
fine.
Just wanted to make
know.
sure.
Very strange.
But I don't hear. Yeah, I definitely don't hear you at all.
Man, sometimes technology just gets you down.
It does.
Here, I'll try to fix mine real quick. I think it may be the cord. There's going to be a pop, though.
Oh, man.
Hold on.
Watch out, folks.
I'll mute it, and then... There. Nope.
You're still not in there.
Here, technical
I don't-
difficulties.
yeah, I
They
don't
plague
know.
us. They plague us.
It's like, no, it's showing up on here that I am speaking. It just doesn't sound
Yeah,
very
we're not
loud.
hearing it.
Oh, there
Weird.
I am.
Weird.
Now you should be able to hear me.
Nope.
I'm in there.
still
Yeah,
don't hear
I can
you.
hear it.
Keith, now it's just your headphones. This is just,
Yeah.
wow, 2 weeks in a row, guys.
2 weeks in
We
a row.
have some technical flounders. I love it. Those gremlins are just not giving us a break.
The Gremlins.
And we've got a great show planned. That's the crazy part about
I like to
this.
think we always have a great show planned.
We
It's just
do.
it doesn't always go as planned.
It doesn't? What do you mean?
Sometimes it goes even better.
There you go. Exactly. Despite all the problems, it's still going to be a
Look,
fantastic show.
Life finds a way.
All the time. Every time.
That might be one of and it's not even like I mean it's a I love
That's one I need to add
Yes.
to the
there it
soundboard.
is.
Oh,
That-
there it
that-
is.
That one too.
Jurassic Park is a movie I love. It's
Yes.
not like one of my all-time favorites, but it is high up on the list. But the amount, like you would think, it almost is my favorite movie as much as I do quote it. And I
Yeah.
don't know why,
Yeah.
because I quote it a
There's
lot.
great lines in
Yeah.
that movie.
Yeah.
They're fantastic.
It's when
Like,
you
I
gotta,
mean, they're not
when you gotta
really.
go. You gotta go.
You got to go. That's right.
That's one of the better ones.
He left us. He left us.
He left us. He left us.
But that's not what I'm going to do.
Yes.
I love it. It's so good.
Yes.
Oh, Sean, I'm right on you when you're trying to change.
I'm fixing the
Fixing
color there.
things.
We're having some issues here. I
We
typed
are.
Neil like hey there. I meant to say there, but it was
Hover.
there.
Man, we're just all over
Hey
it.
there.
Oh, now my mic's magically back.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
I hear you.
What? I don't
hear you
know.
perfectly. Now I
I'm
gotta-
telling you,
Now I
there's,
gotta turn my volume back down.
there's gremlins in this equipment. I don't know. Nope. And see, now I'm gone again.
Well,
I think you're oh, there it is. Now
they're
I'm back.
trying to.
yeah.
Something's going on. There's something.
You got
Oh,
you got shorted a wire
I
somewhere.
do. This mic cable's got a short in it. That's fun. Got to fix that after the show.
Great.
No.
As Neil has just said, awkward.
Yeah,
awkward.
it is. It is. I'm gonna have to like.
Oh,
hold
you
the
cutting
mic.
in and out.
It's not good.
I don't know what
I'll
to do
have
with you.
fix it. I'll have to fix it during our review. We'll have to imminently get to the review.
Let's go ahead and set it up because as theaters continue to be shut down and there's no major blockbusters and all we really have are the smaller, more independent films.
Yep.
I feel like we're starting to find kind of like a little like they're not the best movies, but we are finding a nice little treasure trove of some decent films. I mean, I loved the sound of Metal.
Metal.
That was
yeah.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yes.
Run, Hide, Fight was fantastic. So then we came across this film that was actually filmed here in Louisville in
Our
Jefferson
hometown.
County. They did parts of it by the LG&E plant, parts of it out in Prospect. So that was a really cool idea, and we thought, why not review that? It stars Rainn Wilson from The Office.
Yeah. Many people know him.
And I forget, I know his last name is Grazer, the boy. Is it Jack or Jake?
Joey in the movie and
Yes,
Matt.
but
Jake.
He played
Jake.
Shazam.
He was in Shazam.
Shazam.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the cast was decent, and I thought, why not? So here's our review of Don't Tell a Soul. The film viewing experience has changed drastically in the last year thanks to COVID. But one thing it has done is allowed the smaller and independent film market to shine. Movies that would normally be easily overlooked have now gotten a small bit of limelight. And this has been the case for the film Don't Tell a Soul. Originally meant to premiere at the Tribeca Film Festival last year, which ultimately was canceled thanks to the pandemic, the film still garnered a small amount of buzz. Having been filmed in Red Moon Productions' hometown of Louisville, Kentucky, the film has also received a bit of notoriety in our city, and of course piqued our interest. Starring Jack Dylan Grazer of Shazam, and Finn Whitehead as Joey and Matt, two brothers living in a small, rundown neighborhood near the local power plant, the film begins with Matt, the oldest brother, bullying Joey into breaking into a neighbor's secluded home currently being fumigated for termites to steal over $1,200 kept in her bedside drawer. When the boys are spotted by Hamby, played by Rainn Wilson, a security guard for the power plant, they attempt to flee. As Hamby chases them through the woods, he falls into an old well. The rest of the film follows Joey as he fights with his conscience on whether to help Hamby or leave him in the well, in fear that he will turn him and his brother in for theft. Matt is continually abusive both physically and mentally towards Joey, as their mother is gravely ill and their father has recently passed. And he constantly threatens Joey on multiple occasions, scaring him into leaving Hamby in the well. As Hamby begins to get to know Joey and their relationship builds, the film works towards a small twist as Hamby tries to maneuver Joey into helping him against Matt's wishes. Don't Tell a Soul is a small yet intriguing film. It's flawed in many ways, but still holds your attention. Being from the area the movie was filmed in, I will however say both the setting and characters were realistic to the area. And while there are other faults in the film, its authenticity is not one of them. Rainn Wilson as Hamby comes off a bit odd at first, and even some of his lines and delivery feel a little generic at times. But as the film progresses, his quirks become obviously intentional, giving us a character that, while not wholly original, still feels, again, authentic. Grazer and Whitehead deliver believable performances as brothers, though there are times when their acting is a tad subpar, and the dialogue as a whole can sometimes come off a little generic as well. Where the film does succeed, however, is in the conversations between Hamby and Joey, and Joey struggles to do the right thing, even if some of his character motivations feel a little too much like they were written for a story. The back and forth between the two main characters and their motivations as they get to know each other becomes the film's driving force. And while the end of the film feels slightly disjointed from the rest of the movie, I still walked away satisfied. I give Don't Tell a Soul 3 out of 4 stars.
3 out of 4 stars.
All right.
For Don't Tell a Soul.
All right. Yeah,
Ooh.
I liked it. It was a good. It's not-
fantastic.
It was good.
Honestly, I
Yep.
agree. I think this was just another winner in our books. I mean, we've had now a string of them.
Yeah.
I've had about the last 3 we've
And
reviewed.
It was very unexpected because I didn't really know what to expect from this film. It's like I knew it was filmed here in Louisville, but other than that, like that doesn't mean it's going to be any good. Like,
Right.
in
right.
fact, it being filmed here in Louisville would give me more reason to think it's probably not
Going to be very good.
Yeah.
When you start
Yeah.
seeing some of these production companies pop up that you've never heard of and
Yes.
things like that, I was like, oh god,
I was
here we
seeing,
go.
like-
It's going to be a B movie.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
no, I was extremely surprised. Just same thing with Run, Hide, Fight. Like I wasn't expecting that to be
Yeah.
what it was, and this movie was better in many ways, but I was not expecting it at all.
Well, and I
No.
think we were all kind of talking about it a little bit through the review there, but it was like just the authenticity
Yes.
of just how the actors themselves react off one another, the setting, it all kind of caters
found
and
them-
plays into.
They're very believable,
Oh, yeah,
especially
no doubt.
growing up
In
here
this
in this
area.
area
Yeah.
and knowing the area being
Which
portrayed on film. I was
to
like,
be
oh,
fair,
yeah.
Valley Station is definitely.
A step up from
Well, let's say Valley Station was back in the day a little bit more blue collar. It is still blue collar, very blue collar.
Yeah.
but not in some of the best ways.
Yeah.
and it's kind
It's
of
very-
gotten.
It's gotten even more hillbilly.
Yes,
There-
yeah.
There's
That's a
plenty
good
of
way to put it.
drugs and
Yeah.
a good
But-
way to
but-
say it.
having because I mean my grandparents lived in the village and my uncles did, and I mean they watched me constantly, so I mean I was there like in that area a lot, so like seeing those houses like I instantly recognized as like, oh wow, that is really weird to see, like, you know, someplace that you know very well on film. And I mean, not only was it authentic in that way, because I know Brandon is like, I will say at least this is more authentic than Elizabethtown was. Like, everywhere in that movie, I was like, that's not how you get there. That's the wrong rank. Like every shot, I was like, nope, that's not where they're saying they're at.
Well,
right
that
now.
was the example of a movie that was just purely using the namesake. And again, I know that Cameron Crowe had some ties to
Cameron
E-Town.
Crowe.
But still, I mean, where's he been at, honestly? Think about it. He's not been around for. I think the last thing was we bought a zoo. Was the last thing I saw from
Did Cameron Crowe do that?
Yes.
Well, that explains it.
That was like the last thing I saw from him.
We bought a zoo.
It was bad. It was really
Yeah.
bad.
Wow.
But no, Don't Tell a Soul is definitely it. Here's the thing: it's got a lot of, focus on just the characters in general,
Yeah.
and the story has enough of a twist and turn in it that it just keeps it, interesting and keeps you motivated in watching.
Mm-hmm.
At first you're just kind of like, okay, yeah, it's about these, two brothers just getting into some, common mischief and trying to make some money for their family. And then yet it turns into a much deeper story and blows way bigger than you expect.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I'm not going to spoil anything, obviously.
Even Rainn Wilson, because starting out,
Yeah,
I didn't think he was bad, but there were some of the ways he delivered his lines and stuff. I was like, that's kind of awkward the way he's like saying certain things. But then by the end of the film, I felt it was like, oh,
Yeah,
it comes a full circle.
It was one of those things where it's
does.
like, okay, that wasn't the direction or his acting that was weird. Like that was intentional. Like
Yeah.
he was kind of doing that on purpose. So.
Yep.
I appreciated that.
Well, it's
have
also
that closure.
it's always cool to see someone who plays mostly comedic roles
yes.
do something serious. Like I think with people like Adam Sandler, there's movies where he's been given a serious role and he's nailed it. Like Uncut Gems is freaking amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And
Merowitz Stories.
Yeah, the Merowitz Stories, Reign Over Me. There's movies where he's given like a serious.
Spanglish.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
I just spoke Spanglish.
That was a joke.
Yeah.
That was a joke.
Hey,
But,
no. What's the other one? There is another good one. It was
Punch
real
Drunk
indie.
Love is
Punch
awesome
Drunk
too.
Love.
Yeah.
That was a fantastic
some of those
movie,
kind of movies when you give a comedic role to someone, a
Dramatic role?
Yeah, a dramatic role that they're not used to. I think some people have the capability of really nailing
Look
it.
at,
and
Robin Williams. He was
Yes.
a terrific comedic
Yes.
actor, but he was
Fantastic.
also a terrific
Yes.
dramatic actor. I mean, his role in Good Will Hunting was just
Well, and
incredible.
Well, I even think like even Seth Rogen has had a couple of roles where, yes, they're comedic. They're a dramedy. What's the one with him and Joseph
50-50
Gordon-Levitt?
with Joseph.
Yes,
I love
the
that
Oh, it's a
Cancer
good
one.
movie.
Oh my
That is a
god,
good
That's a good movie.
yeah, and the new the pickle, whatever that's
American
called.
Pickle?
American Pickle.
American Pickle.
Yeah, so I think for Rainn Wilson to come out of The Office and some of these funnier roles that he's always in to play this sinister, manipulative guy,
Yeah.
it was startling to me because I wasn't expecting him to really do well at that.
Well, and
but man,
honestly, I'm happy to have seen him in a role like this because since The Office, I don't think he's done other than Kick-Ass. Was he in Kick-Ass? Was that Rainn Wilson? No, Jim Carrey was in the second one.
Oh, he
Wasn't.
was. No, he was.
He
in,
was in a like some kind of.
It's not Kick-Ass. I know what you're talking about. James Gunn made it. He's a superhero. And
Yes.
it's very over the top, bloody. And I'm trying to remember what.
I can't remember the name of it, but it's like I have
Because
not
I believe
seen.
Ellen Page is in it as well.
Well, then that is Kick-Ass, isn't it? Or
No, she's not in Kick-Ass.
Oh no, that's
Chloe
Grace Moretz. Yeah,
Way better.
but
way better.
but it's like no,
I don't know what that is.
well the thing is it's regardless of that film, this is the first thing I've seen him in honestly since The Office.
Well, even that film, like
because I haven't seen him in much
Yes.
since then, and I was very taken aback by like
Super. It's just called Super.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah. But I was interested in this film because of him being in the dramatic role. But I was also interested because it's like, it's not a big role. I think he's kind of hearkening to, I want to do something smaller screen to showcase that I am much more than just Dwight. And because of that, you kind of, especially those iconic roles, become so synonymous with who you are as an actor.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's hard for you to get work beyond, because people know you as that. And I will say that as the movie starts out, his performance kind of threw me a little bit. It was a little jarring. It was a little off kilter. But then as the movie goes along, that makes a lot more sense.
Yep.
And I don't, again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I appreciated his performance. I thought he did a fantastic job. The two kids.
Yeah.
The only knock that I had was that I thought the younger of the brothers, Joey, was not quite acting like a real 15-year-old. I thought his mannerisms, the way in which he actually goes along with certain, like he executes certain goals or certain initiatives, I'm like, it just didn't seem like a 15-year-old would act. Like even when he gets a gun and he kind of holds it, he's like, pow, pow, pow.
Yeah,
I'm like, this is like
very
a kid.
immature.
Yeah. And I don't take it as, oh, this is where they grew up at. This is the area. Because I'm like, regardless of that, I'm like, this is just like an 11, 12-year-old kid, not a 15-year-old kid.
Yep.
And so that was the only thing that really threw me as far as the story went in terms of what didn't feel natural or feel right.
Right.
Everything else, I didn't think was much of a stretch. I thought it was plausible. It could have worked out that way.
Well, I even mentioned, like, that was one thing I liked, going back to authenticity. The producers are actually from Kentucky, and they wanted the majority of the crew they tried to hire also from Kentucky, which was really cool.
Like 60-something% of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
film crew was.
was local. And I
well,
thought
we know
that
that
was awesome.
that definitely meets the Kentucky diversity.
Yes.
Aspects.
But they said because they were from here, they wanted to try to employ people from here, which was really cool. But they said all of the actors originally came like ready to film with these fake Kentucky, what the actors thought were Kentucky accents, and they said they were all horrendous, and they settled on just just a generic American accent, and I appreciated that because there's so many times in films
they get it wrong,
where you do hear it's like it's supposed to be from Kentucky, and they sound like some like just over the top hick, and it's like, okay, don't get me wrong, there's definitely hicks in Kentucky, but we don't all sound like Colonel Sanders from like like Foghorn Leghorn. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes sir, yes sir. I say,
yes sir, boy.
Come here, boy.
yeah. It's like that's not what we all sound
Come
like.
here, boy. I'm gonna teach you something.
Yeah, so
You're gonna learn today.
I don't know what that was.
I
I
don't
don't
either.
know what Brandon's got. That's not even Foghorn Leghorn.
No, it's not. I don't know Foghorn Leghorn. I don't know.
Oh,
So-
You ever seen Looney Tunes?
No, I don't really. I didn't watch Looney Tunes. I watched Animaniacs a little bit.
Yeah.
I wasn't
Hey,
a
the
Looney
Looney
Tune
Tunes
guy.
popped up
Hello,
in there every now and
nurse.
then. Back when the Animaniacs were good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
They weren't censored.
Well, they're not censored now.
Well,
They're just woke.
yeah,
The Hulu
a different kind of
Animaniacs.
uncensored.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. I thought I was glad they took that approach as opposed to trying to shoehorn them into this generic idea of what a lot of people from the hills of Kentucky or don't wear any shoes. It's like that common.
I don't wear shoes if I don't have to. Not
Like-
trying to further the stereotype because people in Kentucky do wear shoes, but I will admit that if I don't have to,
I don't
want to.
in the summer. It's like I mean I'll wear them even outside. I'll be barefoot unless I'm going
I go
somewhere.
outside barefoot in the winter. I take my trash out
I just think
now.
it's funny
You
we're
see?
talking about this movie and then we just jet over to whether we wear shoes or not.
Yeah.
Well,
It happens.
That's where Kentucky conversations normally.
You know.
That's well, they all end up
To wear shoes or not.
yeah, exactly.
It's a special occasion if you have to put your shoes on. I consider it a special occasion if I have to put my pants on.
In some places, it's considered a compliment. Now, what's that from? See, I do know some stuff.
That's from.
Tropic Thunder.
Is it?
Yeah, it's
Oh
one-
yeah,
it's-
yeah.
It's the
Fatty's
Fatties Part 2
or whatever.
Yeah.
I was thinking Nutty Professor.
It's Fatty's part
But yeah.
And he's like, I don't even want to get started on this. Anyways, but no, I thought it was a fantastic movie.
Make me
Yep.
happy.
Maybe we need to put that on the
Yep.
soundboard there.
We'll get to that when we get back to reviewing The Stand in a few weeks.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh! Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, we were just briefly
After
talking
the
about
latest
that.
episode, yes.
No spoilers.
More on that in the multimedia
Yeah.
segment. But definitely 3 out of 4 stars for Don't Tell
Yes.
a Soul.
Mhm.
If you have a chance, if you can catch it on video on demand, I think I can't remember what platform it's on. I don't know if it's Hulu or Amazon. I know you can rent it from a platform. It may just be video on demand wherever movies are.
It's
I
like
would say
Voodoo,
it's definitely worth a rent.
Mhm,
You know,
yes, I agree.
Yeah.
especially to support the people who worked hard to make the movie here in Kentucky.
And it isn't some small local theater. It's not an AMC because they're going under and don't know how to have independent movies, I guess. But it has been at Baxter and all of the Escape theaters.
Mm.
So
Okay.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I definitely am up for supporting it, and everybody else should if they
go
have
watch
not
it.
seen
It's
the film.
it's a good movie.
Absolutely. All right, guys. I think we're gonna move on finally to
Yeah.
our
Yeah,
headlines.
yeah,
Let's-
speaking of AMC,
that's right.
AMC's dead again. Oh no, they're alive. No, they're dead again.
Well,
oh, no, they're alive.
we never know.
They just got to bail out.
Week to week, it just depends. It's like who knows? I mean, where did the money come from?
We still have investors.
We don't know. Investors.
They've somehow
They have yet
raised
to tell
over
us.
$1 billion.
Yeah.
They've been going bankrupt, and now they have $1 billion.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy how that works? I mean, Hollywood is sitting there 1 minute telling you
And when
that,
they squander all
hey.
that money, they'll tell everybody how they're going bankrupt again, and then they'll get $1 billion more of
Yeah.
investments.
I mean, I gotta say, I'm
a good
glad
plan.
that there's somebody out there who is putting their money where their mouth is, because the fact
To
is,
save
is
the
that-
theaters, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, this is what we've clamored for. This is what we've talked about. It's like, hey, if you want the theater to survive, you don't go to Congress begging for them to give you a bailout.
Mm-hmm.
You raise the money yourself. Well, somehow there's been investors
And what are you
that
gonna
have
do
been involved.
when it comes out that this was government funded?
Well,
That
that's
was
the
a
thing.
bailout.
I
Then we
mean,
have to say,
but I feel like somehow they would have
Boo
had
on
to have
them.
disclosed.
Oh
that.
yeah. I'm just messing.
I
but
mean,
yeah.
or let me put it this way: for their shareholders' purposes, I don't think that they could have kept that a secret. I feel like that either would have leaked or somebody would have had to have presented that.
Yeah.
So it's like
either way, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
They say that it's they think it'll keep them afloat deep into 2021.
That's what they said.
So
well, and Keith had a recent experience at an AMC theater, and it sounds like they're going to need a lot of that money for just infrastructure alone.
I went and saw a movie this past
sad.
weekend, and the carpeting they have on the walls was peeling off. Like literally, I was sitting there.
So it's turning into the Dirty Dozen.
Yes, it is.
I was sitting there I was like, what is this? The seats are falling apart again, and I'm getting tired of going to AMC and them having awful sound. It was one thing when it was like a rare occasion, but now it's every time.
AMC, are you listening?
The theater. They started up the trailer for Bond,
right?
And it sounded like it was like the music's like playing, and you like
Bond,
and it's like I'm like, what is this?
What was the movie you were seeing?
That didn't help.
It didn't help. It was we saw The Marksman, and that was not a good movie.
So
anyway.
my point is though, usually those movies are kind of shown in the small theater that has the shitty
this was
sound.
A regular. It was. I mean, theater.
Was
it was
it
the
in one of the
right
big ones?
It was right across from the IMAX. It was the third Theater 3.
If it's right next to
this is what
IMAX,
I told Brandon.
it's one of the newer theaters, or it's one of the
two
decent
that
theaters.
are like right next to where you walk in.
Those are bad.
Those are the ones that are really
That's
bad.
where we
went
went and saw the artist.
How I knew. We turned the corner to go down towards the theater because the IMAX is number 4 and we were in number 3.
Okay.
And at the very end of the hall is one of these big old carts that you push around, piled high with garbage bags, just left there. And it was still there when we came out of the theater. So that told me they were just going around collecting the garbage and then just shoving it to this exit to take out later, rather than actually take it out. I'm like,
man,
nobody wants to come to the theater and see all
it's
this
bad,
garbage
man.
piled up everywhere.
Right, and we want to pay them people $15 an hour?
Yeah,
What?
That they're gonna expect it, especially after the pandemic.
AMC, and that was the thing, because AMC used to be the nicest theater in Louisville.
It really, that's the
And
sad part
it
about
is
it.
not anymore.
I mean, just like you brought up the Dirty Dozen, it's like, look, that's the way they're going.
Look, the Preston Theater now has reclining heated seats.
Yeah,
like they're up in everything. You know,
Well,
it's funny.
Cinemark.
Our one of our viewers, Jeff. He just joined us on Facebook to watch.
Yes.
And he says now he no longer feels like he's watching alone.
Oh,
Nobody watches on YouTube
they
except
don't.
you, Jeff.
Well, and Jeff, they watch the next day.
Yeah.
And maybe
Yeah.
we'll get a few views.
We
but
appreciate it though, because you're the only view that
you
we
are
have on
very
YouTube.
loyal. Exactly.
Yeah.
Day
and now we
one.
don't have you on YouTube.
That's
But
right.
you know what? I appreciate any loyal viewer.
Yeah.
And hopefully now he feels welcomed into the community.
Yeah.
That is on Facebook.
Yeah, have
making the comments.
conversations
Yeah.
amongst yourselves.
Yeah, whoever else is watching on Facebook, say
Welcome,
hi
Jeff.
to Jeff.
Yeah, say hi, Jeff.
Who else is
I don't
it?
know,
Neil.
4 other people.
I don't even see your neighbors watching this week. They don't love us.
Well,
there she is. There's Kristen.
There's Kristen.
Oh.
She's watching.
Yeah, you say hi to Jeff.
She said on
Kristen.
Facebook, we're watching on YouTube.
It's just ping ponging back and forth.
That's
But you know what? We got it
even
on
better.
Periscope for however long that exists. We got
What
it on
is that?
Twitch. We got it on all over the place. You can follow us and like
Are
us
we on
everywhere.
Parlor? Are we on that yet?
Well, if they get their
They come back.
Oh, okay.
whenever they come back up, we'll be on Parlor.
When or if they come back.
But that's right. At the bottom of your screen, all our social platforms. Boom, boom.
Boom,
right
boom,
there. Follow us, like
Mhm.
us, subscribe, click that bell icon.
Yeah.
But if you're on Facebook, you're already where you need to be.
Yeah.
Just enjoy the show.
So
That's right.
AMC, like holding out through the middle or end of this year,
Yeah.
is good because of all the delays.
Well,
Yeah.
and I was gonna say
hope so.
that's kind of why I think this money.
I mean, it's important.
Coming in was so important because
Nothing's
this
coming
past
out
week,
until at the earliest now April.
yes,
And even then, there's not a lot.
Yeah.
It's
And-
really
yeah.
like June or later.
well, and that was kind of what the news broke this week was how Bond was one of the first ones last
moved
week that
back
broke.
to October.
Moved back to October. Then we got A Quiet Place 2 got moved back to the fall.
Well, I think it's
Or
just
June. I think it's June.
Yeah,
I think
it's
it's
June.
June. But it's like you have all of these delays. In fact, I'll pull them up. We got an article.
Yeah, there was
here.
there was a lot that got delayed, which really stinks. I mean, I know we were looking forward to as a smaller film, but it was the only one coming out in February. Nobody. It's been moved
Yes,
back to April.
we just
So
saw that trailer last
Now
week.
there's not even anything to see next month.
The new Uncharted movie's now like being pushed back.
Well, and here's the thing is, and they haven't changed it yet. I hope they do, but AMC has given everyone until March 1st to renew their subs membership, and if you haven't reactivated it by March 1st, they're going to reactivate it for you.
See, I think
Right,
that's going
they
to
need to
change
push it
now.
back.
They
need to.
have to.
They'll
And it's like I would have been fine with that because everything was coming out at the end of February into March, but now
Yeah.
there's nothing coming out until
Well, now
at least
that we know
April.
they've got $1 billion on hand, they
Yeah,
don't
they
need
don't-
our money,
they don't
right?
need our
That's
money.
true.
Yeah.
They don't need it to survive.
Well, hopefully they
Maybe
use
that
that $1 billion
$1 billion
to
came from stub subscriptions that people were still paying that weren't getting to go see movies.
I just hope they take a little bit of that $1 billion and fix their sound and the carpeting coming off the
well,
walls.
I can tell you right now, if they spend any of the money on the
It's not gonna be
theaters,
in
Stony
Louisville.
Brook is going to be on last on the list.
Yes.
Yeah,
Which is
Louisville,
sad.
Kentucky.
But
Yeah.
I will say we got The Kingsman now coming out in August. It was
Yeah.
one of the earlier slated
I'm
movies
sad
this
about
year.
that as well. Yep.
No Time to Die, of course. We just talked about that in October.
Top Gun.
Last Night in Soho is October 22nd.
Did Ghostbusters get pushed back again?
Ghostbusters Afterlife is also pushed back into the fall. It is fall still, but almost winter, November 11th.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So I know, man. I'm telling you, it's like the literal thing now. The trend is one domino falls, they all fall.
Yeah.
Because
They
at
all
the
go.
end of the day, you really cannot support the fact that you have these movies coming out. And I mean, I feel bad for the theaters, but it's like we've said, as much as we want the movies to come out for people to go back to the theater, if the movies come out and then nobody goes to the theater, that's what scares all of the distributors away from launching them.
Yep.
So they're trying to read the communities, the culture. They're trying to read the society and say, well, if everybody's getting vaccinated and everybody will be vaccinated in the fall, and hopefully most of this is behind us.
Really though, they're only reading that in New York and L.A. They're not reading it everywhere else.
True, because we've now had massive reopenings in a lot of other places.
Right.
But again, even with the massive reopenings, we saw that with Tenet when they released back in July. Now, granted, that was, I think, when we were still in the thick of the pandemic.
Right.
But nobody went to the theater. Nobody went to support it. Now, people went to see Wonder Woman even when it came out in the theaters in December, and they boosted that up to the top. But even it didn't perform as well as it would have at full capacity.
Yeah.
So I just think it's one of those things where we can be pissed. And trust me, I there's nobody else who I would definitely want to get back to the theater, as quick as I can. I can't wait to be back in the theater. Not to see The Marksman, though. You know, I mean, that's the thing. I'm not going to go see that. And it's like, I got to have good movies to go watch. And right now we've
You
got
haven't
these
seen
delays.
it. You don't know if it's a good movie or not.
It's Liam Neeson.
It's
Last
Liam
thing he
Neeson.
did that was good was Schindler's List.
I said
So true.
I said the exact same
Did
thing.
you? Isn't that sad, man?
Yeah.
What a career. I mean, I hate to say
Yeah.
it. It's just like his wife passed, and all he wanted to do then was just action movies. That
He's just got to
he
take his
just
money.
can't-
Well, he did say he's retiring from action films. He said he's too old to do them anymore. He's going to retire.
Well,
from doing
good for
action.
him.
So
Good
maybe
for
he'll get
him.
back
Maybe
to doing
this is
something
it.
good.
Maybe.
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Moving on to our last headline here of the night. This is a doozy as well.
They're all doozies.
They are, man. We've got
Just
a
little
lot
woozy-
to
woozy
cover this
doozies.
night. But tonight is definitely a hard-hitting night for news in the movie industry. Disney Plus is continuing to censor certain films on their platform.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Bastards.
Me. Yeah, it's
Ooh.
not even like movies that I feel like
Need
have
it?
a legitimate outcry for censoring. Like none of them really do.
Peter Pan.
But I'm just saying, yeah, Peter Pan.
Swiss
and
Family Robinson.
What the hell?
I'm like, what's in Swiss
As
Family?
soon as you said Swiss Family
I'm
Robinson,
like, what's in Swiss Family Robinson?
they explain it in that article.
I'll
They
have to
talk
read
about
it.
Yeah.
It's been years since I've seen the movie. I just can't think of what is in there that's
There-
so offensive.
Here's the thing: all of them allude to
I haven't seen it since I was
racist
a kid.
comments or racist depictions. And now, granted, I'll give them Dumbo.
yeah, I mean,
Dumbo,
the crow's name is literally Jim Crow.
And not only that,
Yeah.
but even the song that they have in the film, it specifically talks about. It's like they have the scene where there's I think they're black slaves, where they're doing work, and they're like,
they're working on the railroad.
Oh,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
like, when we
Yeah.
get done, we throw all our money away. And it's like they have like a jingle about it,
Yeah.
and basically being irresponsible, and they're not smart. And it's like, I understand
they were
having the
getting
warning
paid though, right?
No, yeah. So, well, maybe they weren't. Maybe they weren't slaves.
Okay.
But it's still, it's like obviously a very racist
No,
depiction.
I'm not saying
Sure.
that there
No,
aren't
yeah.
some questionable depictions.
well, here's the thing,
Because trust me, I
again-
get it. I get Peter Pan. Like, what makes the red man red?
What
It's
I
like,
don't,
yeah, that's,
what I don't
that's
understand
pretty
is apart from
like
well, again,
insensitive, yes.
again, while we celebrate the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl again.
not
I'm just saying.
being a chief is not offensive.
Of
The
course.
Redskins was offensive. That's why they're the Washington football team now.
That W is the
Redskins
worst looking
offensive.
logo.
Chief is
It was
good.
just- I knew even last minute. I'm
That's
like,
just
you
temporary.
couldn't get it some
Yeah.
kind
they're
of
gonna
design.
they're gonna make something in the
A
future.
much better looking W.
Yes, this will be beautiful.
I honestly want to know what mascot they're going to choose because it's going to offend somebody. You wait, man. The woke
yeah.
police will be all over that. But no, I the thing is I'm fine with even the alert that comes up at the beginning of a movie. and talks about, this movie has racist depictions. It wasn't fine then. It isn't fine now, but we can learn from it. I'm fine with that.
It's our history.
The fact that they are taking... Now, here's the thing. They're censoring it for kids' accounts.
On kids' accounts, yes.
Which means anyone who is 7 years of age or younger...
It won't show up on that account.
Yeah.
The movie won't
show
show
up
up at all.
But...
Adult accounts, you could still watch.
Watch it on an adult account.
And show it to your children if you
However, what I still don't understand about the censoring method is, again, if the disclaimer is not enough, why is Disney dictating what I choose to show my children or not?
True.
Theoretically, if there is something on
Disney... But they would say they're not, because it's still available on the adult account for you to show your child.
But what
my
I would
kid
say...
doesn't have access to my account.
Right. The whole point of having the separate accounts, and that would be their... I think their argument is that's adult content. But again, why would I...
I don't feel like Star Wars is adult content. But Star Wars is on my adult account. It is not on my child's account.
Really? I didn't know they did.
I didn't know
none
Star
of,
Wars
None of the
was.
Marvel movies or Star Wars
What about like
movies
the cartoons, like Rebels and stuff?
Those are, but the
'Cause those
movies
are made for
not.
kids.
So you
Okay.
can't watch Jar Jar Binks on my 7-year-old's account.
What a shame.
Yeah.
That's because
You know what I'm saying?
Just a
That's-
travesty.
they wanted to...
That's a little bit weird.
In that way, I understand
I had to
Disney
get
wanting
on
to
my-
save the children.
I had to get on my adult account to watch Homeward Bound. It's not on a kid's
Yeah,
account.
that's odd.
What?
I was like, I want my kids to see that. I loved that movie when I was a kid.
I actually watched
It is
that the
not
other
on
night.
the kid's account. It's only on the adult account.
So really, this goes deeper than just the ones they've just now decided to
I watched
censor.
Homeward Bound the other night. I just want to say that because
But see,
I
there's
remember
no
watching it.
Yeah. It's a
There's
great
no
movie.
disclaimer in front of Homeward Bound, is there?
No. There's nothing racist in
Well,
Homeward
no.
Bound.
Well, then that's my
It's the
point.
most
So they just
milquetoast
consider
movie
it
ever
Right.
made.
Well, then
I do like something Jeff just said. He said, I'd rather see the negative be out there than try to hide it.
Well, and that's the thing. Well, okay, because here's my thing. What kid, even 7 years of age or younger,
Right.
truly has full control over what it is they're streaming? If you're going to have a kid account,
Yeah.
then I'm still going to know what it is that my kid's watching, or at least I better. If I mean, why are they not leaving it up to the parents to decide what their kid is or is not watching? Why is it not up to me as the parent to choose, okay, if my kid watches this film, then it's going to be my responsibility to sit down with them and discuss the racist
Well, and
depictions or why it's bad.
that's my point,
Why
whereas
is
I would
Disney making
say-
this call for me?
But that's the thing. I think that's where Disney would say that they aren't making the call for you because you could still pull up your account and show the kid Peter Pan if you want to. They can't access it on their account because they might access it without your supervision.
See, and I just think
But
that's...
to me, and I agree, to me that's Disney trying to parent for you, which they
right.
shouldn't be doing.
And I'm like, well, the whole idea of you parenting for me is what gets me in the
yes,
mind.
it's like it's not your responsibility to tell me what my kid should or shouldn't watch.
Right.
I should be
'cause
responsible
truthfully,
enough
what
to
it
watch.
makes me want to do is just if I had a kid, I would just give him a regular account. I don't even know. I understand what they're. That's why I'm
There's
kind of
really
mixed
not
about this
a lot
whole.
on Disney Plus. I mean, there are some things that I may not want to show a child, but there's really not a whole lot on Disney
Well, that's
Plus.
kind of
in
what
general.
I am more concerned about now that I think about it, and I don't know why this didn't hit me before the show. Why is there such a thing as like a 7 and under? It's like what technically are they hiding?
Especially since
because it's
Well,
Disney.
I will say,
since
like,
Disney refuses to put anything rated like over PG-13 on there anyways right now. It's like, and
Yeah.
I mean, granted, there are PG-13 things that
Well, like okay, 10 things I hate
can't-
about you
Yes.
is not a kids movie,
No.
and it's on Disney Plus.
is it on the kid's account?
No.
No, it's
Or
not.
I don't know.
See,
I don't have
some
a
of
kid's
it really
account.
surprises me because there are PG films that are on the kids' account that have curse words in them, like
Yes.
damn and hell and
well,
stuff
that's
like
okay.
that.
Curse words.
I understand
isn't
it, but-
wrong.
So it doesn't have the thing to do with adult language.
No.
Because that's still allowed on there. I was thinking the reason The Mandalorian is not on my son's account, but we have to watch it on mine, is because of the language that's in the movie. Because there's really nothing else in there. There's no blood.
see-
there's no gore. There's no sex at all. Because that doesn't happen in Star Wars.
Okay, well,
And it's just like it has
let
to
me
be
ask
the
y'all
adult
this.
language.
Let me
but
ask
then-
y'all this. So, okay, because my parents have even asked if there is a device or if there's a certain kind of technology that will truthfully. They've asked me and my brother and sister to investigate this. They wanted something where they could put in any movie, and it would block the content of like curse words. And I forget there is this one. It's like an app that you can download on like even Roku. And I forget what it's called. It's called like Angel Viewer or something like
Really?
that.
Okay.
And it's supposed to cut out like what you it has like I guess it scans through like the scripting of the show since most things are closed captioned and whatnot. And it's like if it cuts out like it'll dip the audio in certain moments with like bad words, or it'll even cut a scene if you don't want it to be. And they only have like certain things available in terms of that they've already previewed and they've already put
Yeah,
within
that's
their,
what I say.
in
They
their
have
index.
to already know. Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's certain movies, certain shows that it's okay and works with. It's not very tasteful. It's not very good. It's kind of to me, it's not a very, it hasn't caught on. Otherwise, I feel like more parents would probably use it and implement it. But it's like, what if Disney Plus did that? Would you be okay if they went in and they said, okay, everything that's available on the adult account will be available on the kids account, except we've manually went in and edited any curse words, any violence. We've cut out the racist scenes and depictions in these films.
Even that, I'm like, I think.
Would you think that's going too far?
If Disney, like, if you as a parent could like put in something, say, I want this out of there.
Yes.
But if Disney just arbitrarily goes in and does it themselves, it's like, no, because it's not on Disney again to tell you how to parent your children. You should parent your child and make sure your child's not watching inappropriate content. And I know that can be hard sometimes, but at the same time, that's part of being a parent, making sure you're aware of what your child's doing and not just walking off in the other room and never checking on them.
Yeah, there's
again.
so many shows like on the kids streaming side of Netflix. There's so many shows that my son will start watching, and I will from across the house or even downstairs, like I'll hear. Well, because he turns the volume up loud. I don't know, my kid can't hear or something. He's always got it turned up so loud.
He wants you to ask him
it's
what he's
actually
watching.
because his little brother is so freaking loud that he has to, or my wife's banging pots and pans, and you can't hear it. So he turns it up, and I can hear it, and I'll come running up the stairs, and I'll be like, what are you watching? And it's not because of adult content or anything bad, but it is because of, two girls in a relationship talking about gender issues and stuff like that. I'm like, no, turn that off. We're not watching that.
Yep.
And I've gotten that parent ear now where I can hear everything that's going on and what's coming through the television.
That's actually
but
an interesting
it's
point,
in there
though.
on Netflix on these kids things, and I understand Netflix feels like those are things that kids should all be aware of and all have to deal with.
We've already seen that even with some Disney content.
It's very crazy how much they allow on there.
We've seen that presence of certain cultural things that are kind of the moral zeitgeist right now in our society, and it's like you see these trends as becoming something that people are supposed to accept, and people, traditional family values that are now the new norm, and they're trying to spoon feed that to you and say, well, this is what is acceptable. We're going to actually promote this content, but in the history books of this old stuff, well, no. We got to a point where we all agreed that was finally wrong, so we're now going to censor that. And it's almost, to me, it's kind of a catch-22 of you're yet again deciding what you consider to be.
Well, it's indoctrination.
I think it's borderline of indoctrination and propaganda.
And it's a scary thought because you should never hide history because, first of all, you can't learn from the past if you're hiding it.
You're
from
doomed
everybody.
to repeat it.
Yeah.
It's like you have to be able to confront it and say, this is wrong, but this is what it is, so that people can see that and know that it's wrong. If you never let a child, at some point, I'm not saying, at a young age, you don't need to introduce them to things that are inappropriate, but at some point you have to teach your child, look, that is a wrong stereotype, or that's a wrong caricature, that is offensive, but that's the way people thought back then, and that doesn't make it right.
I was gonna say, some of those movies, I
Yeah.
can't even tell you how many times I watched them as a kid, and I never
made the connection.
Well, I never made the
No.
connection.
And most kids don't
right.
unless they're told to make the connection.
Right.
That's
unless
the
you
issue.
make it an appointment.
Yeah, Jeff's talking about watching Terminator 2 when he was a kid. I'm right there with you.
I
I
did
watched
too.
that movie when I was a kid.
yes.
My
I did
parents
too.
let me
Oh,
watch that
hell
movie.
yeah.
It is an extremely violent movie.
See, I only watched the one on
And-
TV. We taped it.
Oh, no,
Oh, no.
My parents wouldn't let me watch
many
the rated R version.
Yeah,
But
I
it's
saw
just
so
like,
many
when
R-rated
there were
movies.
bad words in there, if it even seemed like I was going to repeat them, my parents would nip it in the bud. They would say, no,
Yeah.
that's adult language. Adults say those things. They're not right, but they're in the movie, and that doesn't mean you have to repeat
I've
them.
repeated
And it's so many different things like that.
The Mask when Jim Carrey, he says something about like kicking some ass or something. And
Yeah.
I said that as a kid because I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
And my grandfather was like, "No, you don't say that." And
Yeah.
I'm like, I was
Well,
watching the movie
of
with
course
him.
you will. And as
I
a
was
kid,
just
you're just like, well, he just said it
I
in
was
the
just
movie.
like, but I knew, I was like, oh, okay.
Right, but
Like,
a good parent is going to catch that and say, I'm not going to stop you from watching that movie,
Well,
but
and
I'm going to
yes.
tell you that this is something that's a grown-up. They're saying it, and it's in a movie. It's not real.
Well,
you
I
don't
think-
say it.
I think it just it shows you how I think upside down a lot of moral convictions are right now in this world. Because I think there was a tweet, and I can't remember who it was from. It was some commentator joking around about Netflix making sure they were like, we are now going to label any movie or show with smoking TVMA.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, we'll allow this on our platform of all this violence and sex, but smoking, whoo, that gets us boiling point. That gets us past
You can't
the boiling
depict
point.
smoking.
Yeah.
They did. I mean, that was like for a while. Even the MPA was on that, like where like your movie rating went up a whole rating if you depicted
Yes.
smoking.
Well, I
like,
mean, it
that's
doesn't have
stupid.
anything to do with movies, but for 3 years now, I've been using an app on my phone called Cigar Scanner, and it allows you to take a picture of your cigar and log it in a
That just
journal
makes
and,
you a terrible
and rate
person.
it. And Apple removed that app from their store because they said it's promoting tobacco use.
Are you freaking serious?
Yes, they removed it from their store
stupid.
for promoting
What?
tobacco use. And you can still use it, but you have to do it on a web browser now.
Wow.
So you can't
And
you
see, that's
can't add
when
anything
big
to
tech.
it.
It's like when you're telling me, like, listen, if I want to smoke, I'm going to smoke. Don't
Well,
ban
again,
an app and be like,
yeah.
it becomes at what point? I mean, look, we're all guilty of it because we all use the technology.
know.
And at the end of the day, when we want the conveniences of these companies giving us what it is, the entertainment we're looking for or the pleasures that we're seeking, the problem does come down to how much are we relying on them to be, hand holding us, and how much are we going to hold them accountable to say, no, we don't like this. And it's like, no, I don't. Obviously, these few films that are being censored, it's like the Aristocats, Peter Pan, Dumbo, and Swiss Family Robinson, I think, are the four. I think those are the four that it mentions in the article that they're taking off of the kids'
I know.
accounts.
I had to think about, like, I still don't remember Swiss Family Robinson, but then I was thinking, what was racist in Aristocats? It's like, oh, yeah.
you know there's something in that one.
Oh, yeah. They do
See,
have a whole,
I don't even remember.
Oh, they have a
What
whole,
was
like,
it?
when they meet all the, like, the alley cats and they're playing in the band, you have that, like, a Siamese cat that's doing the drums.
Yes,
Ching.
that's the
And he's like,
one.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, ching, ching, told fortune cookie, always wrong. And I'm like, it's so
Wow.
great. I love it.
This is the sad thing.
It's
I'm
terrible.
laughing about it.
It's great.
I forgot
it's
that
hilarious.
that's exactly
It is racist,
the
but it was hilarious.
that's the exact reason
What
why
about
they
what
banned
about
it.
Lady and the Tramp? We are Siamese.
Oh, they don't like that either. I'm
Did
surprised
they
that
take that
hasn't
one
been
off of
banned
there?
yet. But yeah, that usually
Oh,
does
it's
get,
coming.
That usually does get a lot of time.
That was going to be my point. Here it is, these four movies, but it's just getting started.
Yeah.
I mean,
Look,
the
if I want
problem
my
with the
kid
woke
to know what
culture-
makes the red man red, I'm going to teach him what makes the red man red.
I mean, the problem with this woke culture
I'm gonna
is
teach
the
them to
very
paint with all the
fact-
colors of the wind.
That's not racist.
That's
know.
not racist. I mean, come on.
No, I'm just making an Indian joke. I'm
Well, I'm-
sorry, Native American joke.
Listen. Everybody needs to learn how to paint with all the colors of the wind.
I know, absolutely.
All I'm saying is, I don't know Pocahontas. I've never seen Pocahontas, so I can't
It's
comment.
okay. It's not my favorite.
All I know is everybody complained because they were like, "Oh, this is not the real story of John Smith and how they came to be
When is,
and getting."
it's an animated Disney
know.
movie. None of them are historically accurate.
Well, and we should ban it because of that. See, that there you go. Put a disclaimer. This is not real.
Apparently, Josh, I have to say this because it's something that irks me very much because I just learned about it. And it's one of my favorite Disney animated films because it's very deep and it has a lot of adult themes and is very mature for what it is. And that's The Hunchback of Notre Dame. And apparently Josh Gad's producing it. And a lot of people are speculating on whether he'll play Quasimodo. And I was like, please no. He could throw money behind it, but please no.
They should get
Like-
Ezra Miller to play Quasimodo.
I don't see them pulling that off well.
Quasimodo on Weight Watchers.
Because I feel like there's a lot of Christian themes in that movie. There's a lot of adult themes, and I feel like they're going to pull away from that because they don't want to
Well, of
offend
course they are.
anybody,
Yeah.
and it's going to ruin it. Because like that's what makes that movie so good
Well,
is how dark.
There's
and deep
not
it
any,
is.
go to the Christian. There's not a lot of Christian stuff on Disney. I don't think there's any really. But I mean, even if there was, are they going to start taking that and putting it only on the adult accounts because it's promoting a religion?
No,
that's...
I don't see that. I see them doing what a lot of distributors and publishers are doing now, which is pushing other content that is either newly produced or
I don't like Josh Gad.
obscure.
I'm sorry.
Well, I don't think
I
anybody
agree.
does. Trust me.
Go ahead. I just want to
Yeah.
make that known.
Nobody likes Josh Gad. He's a terrible actor, and he's not funny at all. He's not hilarious.
No, he's annoying.
Despite the fact that he thinks he is. But no, I do. I think what they're going to do is they're going to push content that they themselves see as being respective to other cultures and other, religions, if they feel like there's too many perspectives of Judeo-Christian values. And I think, again, you get to a point of breaking down the culture so much into these ideological groups. I'm not against, anybody having, making content. However, it's just like, at what point are we going to stop trying to appease everybody and try to showcase everybody's viewpoint when it's not a popular opinion? And I'm tired of platforms like big tech or even streaming services trying to push something down my throat of, you're going to consume this, you're going to enjoy it, and you're going to like it because, well, you have to.
Yeah.
Because ultimately you need this different perspective to be more cultured. And I'm like, no, I'm fine.
If you don't like it, you're a terrible person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. I'm fine with actually experiencing and ingesting new adventures and new things on my own, but I do so at my own pace, not at the pace at which you think I should. And I think that's the same with regards to this cancel culture we're in now and the censorship, because I think a lot of these companies are doing this for these older movies when reality is like, okay, but you're doing the dishonest job of not only not letting parents do their job for their children, but you're also half-heartedly saying, well, without a full explanation, we're just going to block this from kids understanding or thinking that it's like, well, at 6 and 7 years old, they're able to somehow choose their gender, but they can't watch a Peter Pan scene that may be racist. It's like, everything's just morally flipped upside down. It doesn't make any freaking sense. It's freaking weird, man. It's so bizarre. And I just see it getting worse. I think Disney is just going to continue to do this.
Well, not
with
just
new
Disney.
things.
I think we've seen that
Yes.
everywhere and everyone. If
But
they
Disney
if they can
has-
get away with it, they're
Disney
going to.
has the family image that they have to hone. Other platforms we can criticize because they don't have that.
Well, I
wholesome
don't even
image.
just mean just streaming services. I mean, like look at
Big
Apple.
tech, yeah.
There's so many that have gotten so big that they feel like they can't fail, and now they're trying to dictate what people should or shouldn't do. And it's like, no, that's not your responsibility.
Well, then we just got to cancel our subscriptions and get off the platforms.
I agree.
We got to go live out in the middle of a moat. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say about that.
We just need to start from scratch. Nuclear holocaust.
That's right. It's all broken. Let's
All
just end it. My life for you.
My life for you. It's terrible.
All right. If you haven't seen The Stand, that's what we're referencing.
It's terrible.
We'll
Go see the 1994 original. Okay.
We'll get back to The Stand in a few weeks.
We will,
man.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. I think we're ready, and finally, time to move on to our story time segment. Let's hit it.
It's story time, where the podcast members tell their stories.
Story time.
You can't handle the truth.
That's right. I can't.
That's what Disney feels.
True
That's
story,
Disney, that's
bruh.
what Disney's trying to tell us. They want the kids to know.
That's
I like-
right.
I like
that.
Sean's.
Yeah.
True story, brah.
True story.
We need to
bruh.
add that to the
The sound
yeah.
bar there.
Oh, that would be good. Alrighty, guys. We got a fun one this week. I think
Okay.
this will connect with our viewers out there.
As Jeff just said, amen and a woman.
Yeah. Well, he said he hated the female Ghostbusters not because of the women, but because it sucked. And I said amen, and then I said a people, and then now he says
said
amen and
a woman.
the Ghostbuster remake was terrible, and it had nothing to do with the fact that it was women. He's
Actually,
right. It
I
was
think
just
even
terrible.
Absolutely
I forget
right.
who it was. It was from the original.
The original Ghostbusters.
Yes, the original movie. I
Which
forget his
actor or
name.
actress?
I'm forgetting.
Stan
It's gonna sound racist. The black guy.
Ernie Hudson.
Ernie Hudson,
Ernie.
yeah.
He came out and he said in a statement he thought the 2016 remake of Ghostbusters. He said he thought it was a failure. It was awful. It should have never been made.
Well, yeah.
And I'm like, yes, man.
But he's
Ernie.
allowed to say that.
Well, of course.
Get
Yeah.
him, Ernie.
Because he's actually a Ghostbuster.
That's right.
and he's gonna be in Afterlife, hopefully.
I hope
Oh,
so.
he
Hopefully
better
he
be.
comes back.
They all better. Well, except for of course,
Ramis and-
yeah, Harold
Well,
Ramis.
it's
is passed.
Afterlife. I want him to come back too.
Doing CGI. Yeah.
The
Oh, man.
CGI one, yeah.
You think they're gonna do that?
No,
I'm-
I did see the the picture of the new Slimer. The
Oh, yeah?
what's it called?
Oh.
It's called I forget what the freaking thing is called. It looks like Slimer, but it's blue and it's
Huh.
bigger. But
I
it
didn't know
says
that.
basically Slimer is not like a one-off. Like there's other ghosts like him.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be like the new comedic
Oh, okay.
character in the movie. I
we'll
forgot
have
what
to
it's
say-
called.
Look, I'm tons more interested in Afterlife
Yes.
than, especially after that piece of garbage we got. Ernie called it right. It
Answer
was-
the call.
That was answer the call.
It's like, no, I'm not calling you all. I'm hanging up.
They should have called it that. Answer the call, a Ghostbusters story.
They
They should have went the
funny
Star
'cause
Wars route.
I think of Casper.
like trying to disown it.
when, when he comes down the steps, he's like, "Who you gonna call? Somebody else." That's what I thought about that whole movie.
Oh, there needs to be a meme of that.
Alrighty, guys, our story time segment this week,
Yeah.
and let's see if our peeps out there in the audience can relate to this and talk about it a
Can
little
they?
bit.
Okay.
Have you ever played hooky? Hooky in school. Have
Hockey?
you ever played? Yeah, hockey.
I knew a girl once. We played hooky.
Oh, not tonsil hockey.
Oh. You're talking about a different kind of hooky.
Yeah, no slobber.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What you mean is not going to school when you were supposed to.
Yeah. That's it. That's the
Yes.
comment. That's
Does
what
it
I'm talking
have
about.
to be school?
No, it could be anything. Good
Because
question.
I definitely
You played hooky from work?
yeah, Bob Evans once.
Yeah.
It wasn't
That's-
really
You know what's funny is when we talked about this, like the subject.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I didn't even think about that. I've
Yeah.
definitely done that.
played
Yeah.
hooky from
Kinda
Here's the
started
thing.
school,
I don't
but-
Yeah, I
normally
can admit it now
play
because I don't
hooky
work
anywhere.
there anymore.
Yeah. It's just like I never like I will admit like there are definitely times growing up and more so the younger I was than the older I got where I could say I really wasn't too sick to go to school, but
Right.
I would be like, oh, I don't feel good. I need to stay home. And sometimes my parents would call
Yeah.
my bluff. And
You would turn it on.
yeah, sometimes
you'd be
my
like,
parents would call my bluff, and sometimes I would be at my grandparents because my parents at work, and my grandmother would just be like, okay, well, you gotta stay out.
There you go. Take advantage of the old people.
Well, it's funny because your
Yeah.
grandma probably definitely didn't tell him that you stayed home, did you? Did you get picked up
she
from
had
there?
to, she has to tell my parents.
It
that,
would have
like,
been funny if it's like you got dropped off and picked up there, and you just
Well, I do
stayed
get dropped
over
off
there.
and picked up. I
She
did-
didn't say anything about you
Yeah,
not
that
going
would
to
be funny.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I
What'd you
did
do
get
at
dropped
school
off at
today?
my grandparents and get picked up from my grandparents
Yeah.
because I mean my parents worked so like they had to be there before I went to school and they didn't get home till after
Yeah.
I got off. So like my grandparents took me and picked me up.
Mm.
And then I'm trying to remember if any like because there's never really been.
But what was the one from work?
I'm getting there.
All right.
I think the worst. I think it was in high school when I still had like a paper due, and I'm like, I'm gonna be sick today.
Oh, yeah.
and
That's the
finish.
best time to do
I'm
it.
gonna be
Anytime
sick
I had to do a
today,
speech.
finish this paper, and then I can go back tomorrow and hand it in.
There you go. There you go.
That might be the worst. Which I feel is like that's a normal kid thing. Like my brothers constantly cut school. They were terrible.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
they just straight up.
They would as soon as my mom left, and this is a funny story because my mom she never understood. She went to work before they had to be at school, so she had to trust that they would go to school.
Yeah.
They went to school. They rode the bus all the way to school in the pouring rain and walked home. And my mom was like, "Why didn't you just stay?" My mom, like, she was like, as bad as
You all are stupid.
she's
Just
like,
stay home.
I went to work before, like, you had to be at school. Why didn't you just stay in the house? Like,
Yeah.
because that's how they got caught. Is the school saw them get off the bus
And just
then
walk
go
away.
home.
Yeah.
so she got a call like, your son's just left the school. So she's like, you got caught because all you had to do was
Wow.
stay at home.
Maybe they just really like riding the bus.
No, there was a what. I only maybe
it's,
missed.
it's one of those.
work.
It makes you feel more like a rebel.
Yeah.
When you actually feel. You don't
Like you get
stay
right to the front
home.
door and you're just like, I ain't going in there.
I ain't going in
Turn
there.
around and walk home.
Ah. I'm going back home.
Never claimed my brothers were the brightest. But no, with work, it was actually Bob Evans. I'll name drop it. I wouldn't have in the past, but now I don't care.
Let it burn. Let it burn.
When I honestly just, and I don't remember the circumstances around it. It was like, actually, it was just a day I was just really depressed. And I was like, I don't want to work today. And I called in. And it's like
Damn
one of
right.
the first time I've
Yeah.
ever done
Damn
something.
right.
Like, because normally I don't ever, like, I've probably missed maybe a total of 4 days the whole time I worked at Bob Evans.
Wow.
Like, called off. Yeah. I don't normally
Well, that
call
was
off.
because even if you called in sick, they would call you into
They'd
work.
really
Yeah,
be like,
they were gonna say they need you anyway.
Like I don't miss work. I really don't. Like I don't call in or call off unless I'm like like so sick that I can't physically do it.
You're actually what we would call,
A
in
good
the United
employee.
a model citizen.
Oh, nice. But yeah, I don't know. It irks me. Like I feel like I was like it's just something you don't do. You don't go to work.
Yeah.
Like, so it was one of those things where it's like something I would never normally do because there was no like real legitimate reason. But I was like I can't do it today, and I didn't. I called, and the manager on duty there was Dave. Was like, "Oh, well, I don't really know who else to get in here," and I'm like, I'm the only one that's there every day without fail. You're all going to figure it out one day without me.
Yep.
Like,
You have to. At some
There
point,
you go.
you get to that point where it's like, no matter how dependable you are the one, and that's what I had at my previous employer, and I'll name drop them too. Well, no, I won't. But I will say, it was like I used to not be able to when I would direct newscasts. I'll lead in that way.
Mm-hmm.
I would direct newscasts, and you used to not be able to call in because so many people would get screwed over if you did.
Yeah.
So it was like I didn't want to screw over the people that I worked alongside because I knew there'd be a day where I needed them to cover for me legitimately.
Yeah.
But yeah, once I got into the IT field, and my manager was there were definitely a couple times where I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna just call in, and I needed to take a day. And plus, it also had something to do where the employer kind of screwed themselves over because I used to never take sick days. To me, I was always that worried, like, I have sick time for a reason. I know the moment that I do play hooky and I take sick time, I'm going to need it.
Yeah.
And so I would legitimately only take maybe 1 or 2 sick days a year. Well, then they lumped all of our sick time into what was called PTO.
Yeah.
And so it's all coming from the same pool.
Yeah.
And hell, by that time, I was like, I'm using all of this PTO time. I was like, if it's all coming from the same pool, it was like, well, I'm going to be sick
And if
someday.
it doesn't
and
roll over,
exactly.
use it while you have it.
If you abuse it, you don't. If you don't use it, you lose it.
Yep.
Right.
So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to use it.
Yep.
And I did. I used all my
I'm gonna save
PTO
mine
time
until the end of the year and just be sick for a month.
Yeah.
But that was the thing. Well, you couldn't do that.
Get the
You
COVID.
couldn't-
No.
Well, but it's just funny because I remember there were definitely times like in school I never really tried playing hooky too much. There were a couple days. One, I had a really good excuse. I did, and it wasn't. It was funny. I wasn't even really playing hooky. I just woke up and didn't want to go.
Yeah.
But my dad had just went in to get his hip surgery, and I just kind of
Taking advantage of your poor father's surgery.
Well, the funny thing was, I did go to see him, but it wasn't until like later that night when my sister, because I couldn't drive,
Yeah.
and I was like 15, but I didn't have my license, so my sister had to come and
You
pick
wouldn't
me
have
up.
15.
Well, I don't know. In Kentucky, we don't wear any shoes. We just drive whatever we want.
That's right.
Just hop in the car and go.
Drive the farm truck.
That's there you drive the ATV on the highway.
Yeah.
They do
Little
that.
moped with your orange flag.
And they're just like scooting along like
Yeah.
40. I'm going 5 knots. But no, I remember I just didn't. I don't know what it was. I woke up and I just didn't feel good, and so I kind of called in, and like maybe within an hour I was like, I'm good. I was just watching TV and chilling.
Yeah.
And like, but it was funny because I went all the way downstairs and I had called my mom and I was just like, she was at the hospital with my dad obviously, and I was just like, I don't feel good. She was like, okay, I'll call the school, and called in, and I was fine. I wasn't sick at all. But
She, at that point, she was more focused on your father.
well, of course.
So-
And plus, like when you don't do it all the time, like your parent really
Well,
doesn't.
That's
That's the thing. She
It's
don't
like, 'cause,
care.
it's not like I was constant. Like I wasn't my brothers. I didn't like ditch school. Like I'm not saying that like I never missed a day when I really wasn't sick. I mean, I think every kid has missed school, except for we did talk about the ones that perfect attendance, which never made sense.
Well,
to
and
me.
it was funny because I even worked with a guy at my previous employer who was like telling me, yeah, I used to be so sick. When I was younger, I missed like 3 months of school one time. I'm like, dude, that's like truancy. I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, there's no way
That's
you
like,
did.
You were very sick. There has a problem.
Well, he was a faker.
Here's
he
the
was a
thing.
freaking faker. He's lying.
I've never been one for the whole like perfect attendance because it doesn't get me anything. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just
Pat on
saying.
the
Like,
back.
I'm not gonna do it if it don't get me
Well,
nowhere.
I'm just saying, it's like they're like because I knew kids in school growing up that were like, I've never missed a single day since I
good for
started
you.
school, and I'm like, good for you, but no one gives a shit.
You want a gold
Yeah.
star?
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna
no,
give you.
no
senior
employer
year, and
looks
they're
at your
just like,
application and is like, I
They
see
had
you never
perfect
missed a
attendance
day.
all through school, and I'm like,
Yeah,
It's like,
and everybody claps for you, and,
Yeah.
and the adults talk
What
about
el-
how
what did you
proud
get?
they are, and I'm like, ha, you went to school every day.
I
didn't
had
have to-
fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed myself. So
Sean, what about you?
I have played hooky from school, from work, and from church.
Oh,
I did play hooky from church. Got in trouble from it.
Yeah.
Got a spanking.
Oh,
Yeah.
I did play.
Because I ran around the church and made noise and disrupted people with
Oh.
Ty and Chase and Tristan. We
Yeah.
all, instead of going to like, it was a Wednesday night, and instead of going to whatever, we weren't in youth yet, whatever class they do on Wednesday nights for kids in middle school, we didn't go. And like the teachers obviously knew like we were
You were
there
there.
because we were running around the halls and they could hear us. And like when they would come out to try to stop us or get us, we'd run from them. And so finally we went back in
Little
and
hoodlums.
yeah, they called our parents. Well, not just Tristan.
Oh,
actually,
Tristan, yeah.
Chase and Tristan.
He's a Mormon.
Yeah, they instigated it, and they may say they didn't, but they like I didn't do stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's peer pressure.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's-
my parents were not very happy
Yeah.
when they got the phone call saying that we were running all around the church while service was going on.
I didn't really play hooky in church. I played cards. And
No, I mean, I
You played
skipped
hooky?
going to church. Like, I would be sick so that I didn't have to go to
But
church.
you didn't
some
actually
Sundays.
go.
But
Like,
why
see, we
was
were
there-
actually in the
No,
building.
no, I'm
running
saying
around.
like
Like, you didn't go.
No, my parents left me home. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Just because
so
you didn't want to go.
I didn't want to go.
What'd you do instead? Just
You're going
stay
to
inside and
hell.
sleep?
Well, yeah, sleep and play games and
Yeah.
watch
Man.
TV and stuff. Yeah.
That's the best. Was you could
But I
sleep
would do
in
that
and
from
wake up and eat
school.
some cereal.
In elementary school, I was bullied so bad that I didn't want to go to school. So I mean, I would chew up my cereal and go in the bathroom and spit it out and pretend like I
Like it was
vomited.
puking?
and-
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, I got my mom every time. If you're puking, you ain't going to school. Okay, so I'd go in there and do
You
that. I
learned.
did it all the time. Yeah, and church and then work. I will say with work, if it's like stomach issues. If that's if that's pretty bad, then that would be a reason that I would call into work because I ain't about to go to work
Just to get there and
crap in my pants
vomit
and having to go to the
yeah.
bathroom every 10 minutes to,
Yeah.
and I ain't about that.
Yeah.
So I ain't going to get any work done. I'm going to be in the restroom the whole time. Might as well be at home doing it.
Yeah.
So, plus I like pooing in my toilet and not someone else's.
I know,
anyway.
man. It's just a different feeling.
It is.
It is.
It's more comforting.
Absolutely.
Things come out better. But I did skip at my last job. Hopefully, my friend Nick and former boss isn't watching. But at my last job, I
Confession.
actually did skip work one day when a video game released, and I don't remember what game it was,
Was it
but
Destiny
I did.
2?
It might have been a Destiny DLC that came out.
you
and
serious?
and I actually downloaded it and
It's like, I'm
You were like, I
and
want to play this.
I called in sick to work just to sit at home and play freaking
Oh my-
PlayStation all
well,
day.
see, okay, actually, I
Yeah.
was gonna say this and maybe not during that time. Well, there's still a time limit because it's like the kids are getting home from school or the wife's coming home.
Yeah.
And it's like that was always the thing is even when I played hooky or I would get sick and then I would be at home, I would enjoy like all the way up to like noon or 1 o'clock. But then as it kept getting later in the afternoon when you would get out of school anyway, then it would just become like a normal day at that point, and it didn't really feel like it was anything special anymore. And I was always kind of like, man, I wish this was like, because I never did it on like a Friday. where
Yeah.
I got like a 3-day weekend.
Right.
I did it in the middle of the weekend.
You don't want to do it on a
feels-
Friday because then it makes it look like you called in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
intentionally to
true.
get a 3-day weekend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's true. And I
But it's
say-
like it just felt like a normal day after that, and I was like, "Well, crap, man! That's like you really only get to enjoy a few hours. You're
Yeah.
only in
Yeah.
school for like 7 hours.
Yeah.
you know.
well, actually, a previous job that I didn't like anyways, but I mean, another less than legitimate reason to call in, though it was legitimate enough for me, was that like Luke had gotten out, and like I let him out to go to the bathroom, went and took a shower, got out of the shower, and he had squeezed through like this hole that it's no longer, I've fixed it since, but there was this hole in the fence.
Oh
And
crap!
I was like, crap, I gotta leave like in like 15 minutes or I'll be late for. So I'm driving around to look for him and I can't find him. And I'm thinking about like what to do. And I'm like, screw it. It's like it'd be one thing if he'd been missing for a couple hours already and I couldn't find him. But I was like, if there's still a chance I might be able to find him, like I'm not just going to work and sitting there all day long thinking,
No,
where the hell's my
hell
dog
no.
at?
Yeah.
So I called in and I just told him, like I didn't tell him like, oh my dog got out and I'm trying to find him because most employers.
You know
aren't
what's
very
funny
happy
is
with
that you actually
Yeah.
think that that's not a legitimate excuse. However, I've worked with someone like because I would do the same thing. I'd be like, I'm not gonna tell him my dog's lost.
Yeah,
But
I'm
you
gonna
know
tell
how
us-
many
yeah.
employers
Oh, yeah.
would be like, guys, you're gonna have to deal without me being there because my dog got out.
Yeah,
And
oh,
I-
yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
like I've worked with people who are like, this is the most serious
Yeah.
thing
Oh,
in
yeah.
the world,
Yeah.
and I'm just like,
The
It's like
girl
it's
I work with, or well, I don't
an
work with her,
animal,
but I
you
know
know?
of her. Her cat died And,
See, if
and
I-
it was a huge deal, and I'm just like, it's a damn cat.
It's like listen,
One less cat in the world.
when I had to put Kobe down,
but again, if it was my cat,
Hell yeah! If it was
I would- yeah.
Dumplin', when
Listen,
Dumplin' died,
when I had to put Kobe down, like
Yeah.
I went to work the next day. I was sad and miserable, but I still went to work the next day. And it's just one of those things. But I just that was actually a really fun day, like because I did end up finding Luke like within an hour. I mean, it did take about an hour, but I found him because he always makes the same loop.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just saying,
not
I just
going
have to
far.
keep going. Like, and sometimes I don't see him because he'll go like either in a yard or behind. So I have to keep going in the same circle until he's finally out in the open and I can find him. So I grab him, get in the truck, and I'm like, well, now what am I gonna do with my day? So I sat in my basement, watched cartoons, went and visited my sister. I was like, this is a good day.
Yeah,
See, and
there you go.
you enjoy it. You
Yeah.
just get to the
Get the
point where
most
it's
out
like,
of
yeah,
it.
exactly. I got to
Yeah.
make the most out of today.
And it was a Thursday, so there was no suspicion that I was.
Alrighty, guys. Well, if you've got a time that you played hooky, or that you just said, you know what, I'm not dealing with the shenanigans today.
Nope.
I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. Well, then tell us all about it. Email us. That's right. Email still works these days. It's not that outdated. rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com. Right there at the bottom of your screen. You can see it, Sean, can't you?
Can I?
Yeah. Ooh, there
Right
it is.
here?
rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com.
I do want to say, because I know but Jeff mentions that he's never missed a day. You know, he's had like heart conditions in 15 years, and I did want to say, when I did have my heart attack,
He just stood us up, man. He just is like,
Oh, yeah,
y'all
no.
are paying.
that he is,
Yeah.
he did,
He's
and,
calling us out,
and he's not
He's
wrong.
calling us out.
He's not wrong, but I do want to say
He's not
that
wrong.
there's a because when I had my heart attack, I actually I tried to go I went to work the next day. I was released from the hospital. Like I was released from the hospital very next day. I was in work, and they tried to make me take off, and I was like, no, why? Like I'm fine. Like I had a heart attack.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say,
Yeah, I was like,
it was only a little one.
Yeah,
I mean,
but see, and that's the thing.
that bad.
But that's the difference when it comes to like stuff like that. That's like about like me physically. It's like I could be dying. I'm still gonna go to work, but my dog's missing. I'm like, no, I'm gonna go find my dog. so
well,
that
but
is the
no,
weird-
but
yeah.
here's the thing. That's in the sense that you kind of know your own limits, and I definitely think like there's been times where it's like I've worked 17 days straight, because we had people who were on vacations and you had to direct, and it was like, hey, we're down people, so as soon as this person gets back, another one goes on vacation. Can you cover all these days? And I'd be like, yeah, and you pull it out, and then it's like there's some times where you're just like, you know what? I've told y'all yes so many times that I've got to tell myself now, okay, I need a break, and I need to take some time for myself.
Yep.
And I think everybody has that breaking point. Everybody has that limit. But, especially when it comes to something that you control yourself, you know your limit, and you know yourself what, you can put yourself through. And sometimes we don't know, and sometimes
Honestly,
life does that.
I should have just taken off like they kept trying to tell me at Bob.
Yeah,
It was the
you
only time I
should've.
would have ever gotten off.
Alrighty, guys, I think that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Red Moon Podcast. Right there at the bottom of your screen is all of our social media accounts. That's right, Red Moon Book, tweet, pics, and just search for Red Moon Productions on YouTube. Click, like, subscribe, hit that bell icon for the notifications.
Neil wants to know where's the Snapchat at.
Snapchat's gone. Snapchat
Is for losers.
is for
No.
when we actually start working on projects again.
Yeah.
And Red Moon Snap's still available.
Yeah.
We ain't ever on
It
there.
ain't nothing on
we
there.
ain't on there. We're just
No.
never on there. We don't snap. We're not cool. We're not on the TikToks.
We have nothing to snap about right
I
now.
don't know. I mean, look,
Hey, TikTok's that's a national security risk.
Well, it
We're not
is.
getting on
That's
there.
true. We don't support the Chinese.
No.
Okay, we can't do that. We're an American company. Support
we
us.
have all this Apple product everywhere that's all made in
That's
China
all the
Hey,
sweatshops in
everything.
the world.
But it was designed
by Apple in California.
That's right. That's right. Don't you just love that little disclaimer?
Yes.
Oh gosh, Tim Cook. Isn't he funny? He
Oh,
thinks
yeah.
he can get away with it.
He's cute.
All right, guys.
I
Thank
miss
you all
the
for
glory
watching
days
us.
of Apple.
I do too. I want Steve back. Don't we all? Alrighty, guys. That's going to do it for this episode of the Red Moon Podcast. As always, I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host.
Sean Sebastian.
And
Keith Cheatham, equity straddled spanker sphinx, rolling galleon, poof shaking bit rolls.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.